Modern medication did not work for me. Modern medication did not work for me. Modern medication did not work for me. Modern medication.
Mercy TV, another Cobra episode. Here is Sonny and PK, Perry's Family Business.
Hello there. Hopefully everybody's doing well and being safe and following all the guidelines. And me and Pete are here to help give you guys some information and be with you and let you know that, cannabis can help you. And, please know that we can help give you some information that cannabis will help. And there's a lot of different ways you can do it and use the medicine.
You don't have to smoke it to get the effect. By fusing it into a butter or into an oil or into other tinctures to get it internally to help your inner organs.
Yes, sir. Well, because it, for your psoriasis, because there's so many different people, that's one thing I used to have psoriasis from here to here. People don't know. We usually don't talk. Me and Pete have been, head injuries and psoriasis and arthritis, and people watching the show, I'm sure they got lots of things,
Everybody has different conditions.
Oh, and pills they gotta take.
And the side effects of these pills that the doctors give. The pharmaceutical companies don't like cannabis because it can help. You can smoke it, you can eat it.
And the cannabis takes care of immediate.
Depending on your method of using it. Smoking is immediate. Sometimes rubbing it on, it's immediate. You can see results.
Well, and that's what we're trying to share.
Things take time, like pharmaceutical drugs. They take time to have reactions.
Oh, and Henry, the song and the shirt. The shirt is Henry Turner Jr. And the song you heard was Henry Turner Jr.
Modern medication doesn't work for me.
But, Henry is a good man. And, we're just letting everybody know. If you can, send Henry some love. We try and give Henry all the love we can. Because he knows. And we know. Thank you, Henry. Because, we just want everybody to do the best for themselves and give information so they can share the information, because there's a lot of bad information out there about cannabis. People saying that cannabis is not good, and, cannabis is good, and we want people to know that the cannabis is good. And, people need to know that the information that they get about cannabis is bad information, because a lot of people want to say that cannabis is not good when we know that cannabis is good.
The propaganda started before 1937, when cannabis and marijuana became illegal. They put taxes on it. They done a lot of things, propaganda about cannabis and the benefit.
One plant.
Yeah.
And they changed the name of it
to marijuana.
And they make it hemp, and marijuana,
Yeah.
and they keep changing the names, and oh, it's just a plant, and we can make things out of it, and we can use it for medicines,
And there's plenty of different molecules that are in the cannabis plant and in the hemp plant to make different healing solutions instead of taking pharmaceutical drugs. But we have to remember that felons can vote in this state. It's important that we participating in the election cycle. We need to get the right people here hearing our voice and doing the right laws and changing them.
well, and that's what's important, is letting everybody know about the voting. Well, because the voting was, we got the laws changed so we can have cannabis. And look at how many people are using cannabis, and the doctors know that cannabis is good medicine. And we're able to use cannabis for the medicine. And look how many people get to use cannabis for their medicine. And there's so many people out there using the medicine for so many different conditions. And we're being contacted from all over the world,
So we have a web.
The state of Oregon DMV has accepted CBD as medicine for my seizures to give me back my license.
That's very good, Reed.
Well, that's good. And see, those are kinds of things that people need to know about, that the doctors are literally letting DMV know that cannabis and all the different kinds
It's
of...
medicine.
Well, because it's medicine, and here's a patient that called us and let us know, hey, and what else is,
This was my neurologist that sent the letter to DMV saying that CBD is my medicine. My neurologist agreed that CBD is what's saving me from seizures, and he was willing to put that on the line and tell DMV that that's what's saving me from my seizures. And DMV accepted that, and I'm in the process of getting my driver's license back.
That's good. I hope that you will get your driver's license.
well, these are the kinds of things that people that watch the show that need to know, because there's lots of people like myself that have seizures, and you have seizures, and there's people out there that watch the show that have seizures, and we use medicine. And see, it's not just about smoking it. We make foods and oils and do the cannabis different ways.
Yeah. So the people in the hospital, I know you're watching this show. Please talk to your doctor. Talk to your children. Use cannabis wisely. You might have very good results.
Well, there's just different ways you can use it, and there's by doing it differently and doing it daily, you'll see that your organs get built up stronger. And when you do that, your organs get built up stronger, your blood gets built up good, and your body gets built up good. What did you notice?
I have a suggestion.
Yes, sir?
Don't just talk to your doctors, talk to the nurses, because the nurses talk to more than one doctor.
Yes, sir?
Yep.
And is there some other things you'd like to talk about, sir?
Yes, I want to real quick throw in, I know we're talking about cannabis at this point,
Yes, sir?
but right now we've got all the fires and the destruction that the rains are going to cause landslides very soon as we go into the fall. If we would plant hemp, that would hold the ground in place and we'd have less landslide problems.
Well, that's a good thing. And if people knew what we could do by planting that, it would be so good. And we could have others out there working, and we could have others out there planting it to hold the soil.
And I realize that to be replanting trees, However, the oxygen produced by those trees in the first 10 years is 1% of the oxygen that will be produced by one single crop of hemp.
But the only trouble is that with these outrageous fires, they sterilize the ground, so nothing really grows there.
Except the hemp.
I hope that's true.
Oh yeah.
So we can revitalize the soil with hemp. The hemp also has the ability to take heavy metals and poisons out of the soil and put them into the leaves in a different form that they can be disposed of safely. So we revitalize the nutrients in the ground with the hemp. They produce 10 times as much oxygen, more than 10 times as much oxygen in one crop than baby trees plant in the first 10 years we produce in 10 years. And we hold the soil in place so we have less problems with landslide all at the same time.
Well, and these are things that people watching the show don't understand what we can do by doing information and education and sharing with others, and the education about the oxygen and what it does for the soil.
See, when I say that oxygen produced by 1 acre of trees, hold on a second, let me make sure I have my facts correct here. Let me get some paperwork.
One of the things that we do when we plant, it strengthens the dirt, it strengthens the air, which all those things help our water. And our water is so good in the Northwest, and it's so good because we have so many pluses, and these are just one of them. And we have so many, and this is just one of them, and we know this. And yes, sir?
No?
And by doing this, these are one of the things that we know because we've been a part of it for so long, and we did it without trying to get any, hey, this is what we're doing, because it wasn't about being a part of that.
We're lucky that CCTV lets this program be aired, and Mike.
Oh, yes. CCTV.
Guys, on the oxygen end of 1 acre of hemp produces more oxygen than 25 acres of forest. That's saying forest, not baby trees.
Right.
Only mature trees will produce enough oxygen to match 1 acre of hemp, one single crop in a summer.
Well, we've had.
A single crop in a summer produces more oxygen than 25 acres of mature forest.
Well, that's what we need with all these fires that have burned up all of our forests. And the good thing is it's good for our oxygen for us, and the oxygen is good for our trees and our forests. You know, people don't understand we need it.
I just saw an ad the other day for toilet paper from recycled paper, and the lady saying, you know, I'm saving the planet, I'm recycling the paper instead of using fresh trees for toilet paper. 1 acre of hemp produces the same amount of paper as 4.1 acres of trees.
Well, these are the
One crop
things.
of hemp produces 4 acres of trees that are demolished and take another 20 years to get back that big.
Where the hemp crop would be every season, or maybe even
That's
twice a season, where a forest would take 25 years, or whatever time it would before harvest. But
And toilet paper made from hemp would be a softer product than what we wipe our fannies with at this point.
Back to the education, and this is what we need to share with the people, and we thank CCTV and all the people that work at CCTV. And see, it takes all of us doing it together, and we have so many blessings, and this is what it takes doing it together. And every day, this is what we got, and we've been doing it before the pandemic, and this is what we got.
participation.
Man, and you know, we've got so much. And look, I am just so, thank you, Lord, And, you know, gosh, we got blessings, and I hope everybody is okay. And look, everybody is out there. We got
being safe
yes,
and mindful for our fellow humans right
yes,
now,
and
all the time.
yes, and you know they got so many bad things going on, but you know what? Look at all the blessings we have. And we got so many blessings. And remember, there are so many blessings. And take those blessings and use your blessings because we got so many. And let's take them and use them, and we can do so much with them.
But we need to do it by sharing with our neighbor. We need to take care of our neighbor.
Yes, sir.
So our neighbor can take care of us.
Yes.
Participation.
And do it
friends.
together, you guys, because, you know, the medicine is good. And, you know, make sure you tell your doctor how good it's doing you, because if you don't tell your doctor how good the medicine is for you, how is he supposed to be able to use the medicine he's given you? You know, when I told the doctor about how good the cannabis is doing me, how is he supposed to be able to cut my medicines in half? You know, my medicines are cut in half from all the medicines that I used to take. So if we don't tell doctor, well, these are the amounts, you know, these are the things we got to tell our doctors, you know, and share with our doctors, you know, because they don't know if we don't tell them. So you got to tell your doctor. And if your doctor is one of the doctors that say, oh, well, I don't want you using this kind of medicine because I don't, well, maybe you need to get a different doctor.
Yeah.
You know, these are the things you have to discuss, you know, with your family, with your wife, with your husband. You know, these are the things.
One of the ways to get to your doctor's attention is if he says, well, I don't want you using this product, then you say, do you know what the endocannabinoid system is? If he says no, you tell him that's the nervous system, and the nervous system runs our body. And it's made of cannabinoids, endocannabinoids that our body produces. We produce cannabinoids very much like what's in cannabis and hemp. Our body produces it, but it doesn't produce enough because we're dealing with pollution. Pollution cuts our ability to produce a necessary element, cannabinoids, that balances the hormones of our body and the nervous system of our body. The pollution cuts what we're able to produce in our body, so we need to add it back in. That's why we need the cannabinoids. That's why we need the cannabis and the hemp to add to our body what God already gave us the ability to produce, but we're ruining because we're breathing pollution.
Modernization, my friend.
Back to education is so great, and we can learn and we can do so much with the education and learning about, and the CBDs and the THCs, and everybody thinking, oh, well, you got to smoke it, and the only way you can learn is by telling others and teaching others and knowing that, you know, like the
you
oils.
don't have to smoke it.
Man,
You can
know,
make edibles.
you can
make
do the
oils.
edibles, and using, like we was talking the other day with this other patient about eating, taking the oils and making things that, you know, you can make things that.
We have a patient that's using a CBD oil, and he's losing weight, and he's getting his energy back.
Oh, and his sugar diabetes is doing so good. He's losing weight and getting energies and taking less drugs that he uses. And, you know, all of these things are so good. And these are what we want to share with people, that their energies and their sugar diabetes and they're losing weights and, you know, all these.
We need to remember to explain to them why this is working. What the cannabinoids do in the body is to balance our enzymes and our hormones so that they can work together and work properly like they were designed to do in the first place. That's what the cannabinoids do, is balance our body and how it uses its vitamins and minerals.
Before 1937, you could find cannabis products in a lot of the over-the-shelf medicine that the doctors or the pharmacy would offer you.
Well, that's why our bodies are so good with all the foods and things we do when we make. And you'll find out when you start doing it and you use it yourself, and you'll find out that certain kinds of foods that you make are really good, and it's because it's the way your body interprets it. And our bodies are so neurological, and the way your food and it's interpreted, and it eats it. And these are
people don't understand that the hemp plant has thousands and thousands of uses. For example, we're talking about primarily medicine at this point. We talked about oxygen a few minutes ago. Let's talk about Levi Strauss original button fly jeans in the 19 whatever or 18 whatever when they originally were made from hemp, because hemp lasted longer and was softer and stronger.
right? Well, these are things that people know, that what they do out of hemp. And the medical cannabis is just one more thing that they did afterwards, you know, because the hemp, the plant is one thing that, you know, see, it's just everybody wants to take one plant and do one thing with it. Well, no, the plant can have so many things to do with it. And, oh yeah, they want to take one plant and say, oh no, you can only do one thing with the plant. Well, no, there's a lot of things you can do with the plant, and don't try and say, oh no, you can only do one thing with it.
From the root to the flower.
You know, and that's the thing. Once you start realizing how many things you can do with that plant, and depending on you, what kind of, are you good? Do you have conditions? I mean, I've got conditions. I've got a lot of conditions. My brother Pete, he's got a lot of conditions.
Our brother Reed has lots of conditions.
And the patient that called the other day, he's a brother too. Oh yeah, all of our brothers. Oh yeah, all the people watching are brothers. All the sisters watching are sisters. You know, people don't understand we're all brothers and sisters. You know, when you understand we're all brothers and sisters, you understand the plant was put here for us to use. And when you understand that, you'll understand why it's got so many uses. It's good for us. That's why it goes with for us. You know, like he was just saying, it's got so many uses for us, our body. We can do so many things with us.
We would save a lot of trees if we would use hemp instead of the different forests.
Ain't that the truth? You know, we wouldn't have to cut down so many trees. And we don't need to cut the trees when you start using the plant. And the plant grows.
Hemp makes better paper. Hemp makes better plywood with no poisons to bind it together.
Concrete as well.
And see, these are the things that a lot of people know about, but it don't necessarily make as much money. You know?
Right now, the cost of building with hempcrete is now dollar for dollar the same as building standard construction wood frame.
But we already knew that a long time ago. But these are the things we're trying to change. And you know what? That's why we're giving out this information and here doing this show and just trying to say, hey, medical cannabis is good. And it's good for all of us. And if you got a condition, and do you know that you can rub it on, you can smoke it, you can eat it, you can drink it. Oh yeah, there's so many different kinds of ways you can make these oils, and you don't have to cook them. You can put them in a jar and you can set it aside, and it needs to be put in the dark, and you need to shake it, and you need to give it some. Oh, and there's different kinds of oils you can use, and you might hear people saying, oh, well, there's only one kind of oil you can use. Well, hey, you know what? If you got this kind of oil, you should try using that kind of oil.
Because you have that type of oil at the
Because
time.
that's the kind of oil you got. You know, because once you find out that that's the kind of oil you got, then you'll say, hey, I used that kind of oil and it worked.
Yep.
These are the things that people are finding out, that, hey, this is the kind of oil I got and I used it and it worked. Well, you know what? thank you, because when you share that information with somebody else and they use it because that's the kind of oil they got, then they'll use it and they'll try it, and then they are able to be successful. And these are the information, and this is why the show is good, because when they find out that they can do something and be successful with the little bit of things that they got, because they got a little bit of oil, and it ain't necessarily the kind of oil that somebody told them they had to use, because they got this other kind of oil. And see, we just want people to be successful, and being successful is everything.
Being happy.
And you know what? When you understand that, once you start using cannabis and putting it in your diet, because you can put it in your diet by eating it, by putting it in topically, by drinking it, oh yeah, by smoking it, and all of these things get those cannabinoids that he was talking about in your bloodstream and then into your organs, and then get it in neurologically. Oh, you start feeling better.
And that's just the flowers.
And then
The whole rest of the plant, you can build houses, you can make your clothes, you can run your car on the fuel produced from it. Thousands of things, and we're just talking about the medicine from the flower, one tiny part of the plant. The whole rest of the plant, every bit of the plant, is viable in human usage and human economy. Small businesses can make cherries out of hemp plants. I make a topical balm out of the root. The flowers and leaves are used for different things. The stem is used for many things: clothing, hempcrete, paper, biofuels, plastic. Plastic made from hemp is the safest plastic good. It's also biodegradable. There's car companies and airline companies, not in the United States, elsewhere in the world, that use hemp plastic instead of petroleum plastic, because when petroleum plastic burns, it produces carbon dioxide and carbon monoxide, which is even more poisonous than the carbon dioxide in the smoke. When you burn hemp plastic accidentally or intentionally, it only produces the carbon dioxide only.
the most important thing,
Excuse me.
Also the hemp plastic,
the most important
10
thing,
times stronger than steel.
the most important thing is that you need to use the medicine, and once you start using it,
Understanding it.
you got to start using it regularly. You can't just use it once and say, oh, well, it's going to work, and I used it once. Well, yeah, but you got to use it for a month. You know, you got to use,
the vitamins that you eat in your food.
Yeah.
you know,
You don't eat this vegetable. You don't
Pardon
eat
me,
this
Reed, excuse me. We're running out of time. We'll have to say goodnight. Hey, thank you for your participation. Hopefully the camera had picked up your voice and your message. Hemp is and cannabis is a wonderful plant. I want to thank you for Dr. Lebec. I want to thank you for Mike, Grandma Janice, Alicia, Shauna,
and all at CCTV. And you
Yep.
guys, there's a lot of people there that come and work and make sure that we get our show and that it happens. And, you know, Henry Turner and so many people. And we're
And
so
Rick.
thankful, and lots of blessings, and Sam, and, you know, so many.
Ethan.
Yes, and we're thankful. And all of you that watch, and, you know, please send Perry. If
You want to say anything before I turn it off, Glenn?
Yes, good night.
Good night. God bless you all, every single one of you.